Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back. This is Aluminum Tarot. It's a pleasure to have you here again. We are now going to be reading for the sign of Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the month of February 2026. And additionally, we're going to be doing this for the season of love. That's enough said. Anyways, yeah, we'll be talking about some of the energies that are basically surrounding your love life. We're not going to get into any details or specifics about who's coming in. But what we will talk about, at least for now, is your approach to love, how you see it, and what effects it's having on your specific actions that you'll be taking throughout the month of February. And yeah, that's going to be it. I may do a later, um, reading or something that's going to talk a little bit more in detail about who's coming in. But until that moment comes, I'm just going to focus on this for now. So that said, order of the day is, if you like what you see here, please be sure to give a like, share, subscribe, ding that notification bell. Additionally, write some comments in the comments box below. And if you'd like to leave a few dollars, quid, I don't know, pesos, whatever you got, you can feel free to do that by leaving that in the PayPal link in the description box below. And yeah, a little bit goes a long way as always. Just keep the channel running. And that said, we're going to go ahead and get started with the reading itself. Now, of course, we are now entering into the season of Aquarius, and there's about 5 planets that are in there shaking things up. So you can have a look at that on websites like astro.com or Cafe Astrology and all them. There's plenty of them around. Chinese Astrology is a really good one that I like to use as an app to kind of check these things as well. But yeah, that said, that's the energy that's coming out for you. So you, Aries, you're getting your card, but this is also Aquarius's card as well. You're deciding to take a new venture in an opportunity elsewhere. And the reason why it's so is because the dating scene has left you feeling a bit drained and a bit anxious. So it's kind of spiked your anxiety quite a bit, dealing with a lot of the types of people that you've either dated or the lack of opportunities thereof. And this happens to everyone. Some people, they have the chance to go on dates, they match with people, and then it turns into an absolute nightmare when they actually interact in the 3D. So a person can look really good, like they can look amazing, stunning even, when they curate a lot of the pictures that they've got throughout their life. And then when you see them in real life, it's just like, yeah, I made a mistake. So that said, that's why the dates are important. So that way you can see what people look like in the flesh, in the 3D, and then go from there. But, I'll rant about that a bit later on, but let's get down to your reading. So we have the Fool, clarified by the Strength in the reverse, clarified by the Four of Swords in the reverse. So normally with the Four of Swords, we have a person that's taking a kind of a pause. They're going through a healing process after the Three of Swords, and they're gaining that extra sword underneath, which is the Ace of Swords, the moment of clarity that kind of puts things into perspective for them as they're going through the healing process. And it's a mini death of sorts, and that's why this person is kind of in what appears to be a coffin in a church. However, in the reverse, what this talks a lot about is there's a lot of anxiety, whereas it's almost like the person is going to fall on those Three of Swords, when their world is turned upside down by a lot of the different people that they've been interacting with. So that's kind of how I interpret the Four of Swords. With the Strength card in the reverse, we oftentimes have the Lion, which in this case represents kind of fears, insecurities, and doubts, and more like the lower nature. And the Empress is actually taming that lion by putting her hand in its mouth and silencing it, while in the same time trusting it enough to where they can have a mutual relationship. So it's like a nice homeostasis between binary forces, opposite forces. And what we know in mystic traditions, Kabbalah, Hermeticism, and so on, is that the nature of the universe and all things within it are binary forces, typically. So that said, that is what kind of creates the tension there, which adds to the strength which is in this card. And so with you having these three cards come out, what it tells me is that you're taking a leap on something new. This thing may have come about because you have felt drained from your past love life, but it also brings you a lot of anxiety and fear to be able to take that leap into the unknown. Now, in the recent past, you have been feeling drained. Yeah, oh, sorry, I can't show that. God, YouTube. You have the Star in the reverse, and then you have the Queen of Cups in the reverse. This is a person who, in an emotional sense and in a spiritual sense, feels like they're running on fumes, like they have felt completely depleted by all of the options that they've explored around. And maybe they've given too much. They have had poor boundaries. And I've just spoken about boundaries with Pisces. So if you have Pisces in your chart, you might want to look at that one as well. That said, we're looking at the Star and the Queen of Cups. The Star is a card of healing that comes after the Tower. Queen of Cups is a card that talks about being able to have an emotionally mature and receptive approach to matters of the heart, which is why she has the most ornate chalice here. Okay, I think it's going to keeps wanting to go out of focus, but we got it under control. So with that said, we talk about these two cards being in your recent past. So you've gone through a period where you need to kind of take a pause and regenerate and rejuvenate all of the energies that, you've gone through, that you've lost over the past time. So in doing this, in the current, you have the Ace of Wands in the reverse, and you have the Ace of Pentacles in the reverse. So two aces came out for the current time. So this isn't a time for new starts, is what it's telling me. It's telling me that the time for a new passionate start or even time for sexy time is just not going to happen at this particular moment. The Ace of Pentacles is also talking about more material matters of the heart, the sensual side as well. But it's also about value. So the way I interpret it is when you put these two cards together for your current state of being, it's like the opportunities that you see out there are not really valuable enough for you to get involved in. So that's why you may be turning it down. You may not just have the interest or the passion, or you may lack the drive or motivation to go after them. But a lot of it is because you're trying to heal both the value within yourself, as well as you're trying to look for opportunities that seem to be of a bit more value to you. So it's not about just going for a straggle off the streets, or going for someone who, is demanding the triple sixes, as I explained to Pisces. But it's about finding someone who is on the energetic, vibrational level that you are on after you have raised that vibration to a quality standard. And this is the trickiest part about dating. This is the trickiest part about love in general, is that most people want love, but they're vibrating at a low frequency and they get pissed, basically. And that's, this is where you get your narcissists coming in. This is where you get your people who haven't healed. They keep talking about their exes. And believe me, I have been in dates where people ranted about their exes the entire time. And that is the most depressing thing. It's like, what the fuck are you doing on these apps? And why are you trying to get with people other than to just numb your pain by, random snatch or sex in the wild? I don't know. It's not a good thing. And people need to come into the dating scene a bit more healed in order for that to take place, because, in the case of women, a lot of women, they'll just, instead of, and this is men too, but I see it a lot in women, a lot of them will just, instead of reflecting on the past and going for a quality person, they just are like, well, I'm special and I'm the table and all this bullshit. And then they just hop from dick to dick to dick to dick to dick. And it's just not really a healthy thing for people to do. And so with that said, we're going to get on to the next part. In your future, you have the Three of Swords in the reverse. And this is you getting over the heartbreak that you've experienced in the past. And additionally, this came out on its side. So this is the Eight of Swords. You're finally realizing, like, in order to get over your heartbreak, it's not necessarily that you're trapped in this heartbreak, a lot of it has to do with your mental space and your mental approach to the way that you view relationships and things that happened to you in the past. So when these come out on this side, typically what this tells me is that you're in the process of dealing with that energy. So instead of allowing yourself to stay in an Eight of Swords, you're trying to get into an Eight of Swords in the reverse, which will then help you to get over the heartbreak, which I think is the reason why you're taking a new start on something else. I can actually go into it. At the bottom of the deck, you have the Ten of Swords in the reverse as well. So that means whatever kind of error that you've gone through, that's been a bit of a shit show, you're now coming out of that and you're getting past the worst point of that issue. And we're going to ask, what is the new start that Aries is going to go through? What is the new start that Aries will experience? Oh God, you're not gonna like this. How do I explain this? Oh God, YouTube's gonna demonetize me for saying this, but I don't care because I have no filter. You have the Nine of Cups in the reverse at the bottom of the deck, and that is typically a person who has felt that a wish has not been fulfilled. Additionally, there is an era of codependency. This is a warning to you. When we get these two cards together, what does this tell you? So this is essentially saying to me, Nine of Cups in the reverse, clarified by the Seven of Swords and the King of Wands. You're basically going to turn into Bonnie Blue if you're not careful, and we all know where that leads to. No one here has the money for a bang bus other than Bonnie Blue herself. Maybe some of the other people have made some sound investments in those types of things. But my mode of transport is a motorcycle because I'm going solo for the moment. And other than that, when you deal with people who are Seven of Swords and King of Wands in the reverse, these are players. Do not become a player in response to the fact that you may not be finding the right options or the right things out there. Try to temper your impulses. And maybe, just maybe, what this is telling us is that you're taking a leap of faith on this. And you're actually, with the Strength card in the reverse, you're allowing your lower nature to conquer you. And so that kind of wraps things up into a nice little package when it comes to the way you're approaching your dating life. I'm hearing the word, fuck it. I'm hearing that phrase. And that can be in a literal or a figurative sense as well. And with the Cupid card that I pulled out, it's main male. So I think that may be what you aspire to be if you're a male, or you might want to step into a masculine role. Typically, women who step into this masculine role, they'll just try to emulate what they think men like to do, which is basically have as many options as possible and just smash through all of them. That can lead to very, very adverse effects for a person's mental health. But it seems like this is the road that you're going to go down, Aries, if you decide to take this path. Now, keep in mind, this is a snapshot. This doesn't mean that this is going to be your fate or your destiny. You can avoid this. Like if I am driving down the road and I see, a dead deer in the road, and I'm just like, oh, well, it's my destiny. And then you just run straight into the deer, and then like you're not wearing a seatbelt and you just fly about 20 meters out front of your vehicle. You can avoid these things. And so that's what we're looking at with this particular reading. We have order in the forest when it comes to your oracle message, which comes from the Guides of the Hidden Realms oracle deck. And what we're talking about here is you are going to be cleansing yourself, purging yourself, releasing resentments, and making amends. This doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go out apologizing to all the people who have done you wrong. Just like, I'm sorry. You're not going to pull any like General Butt Naked type stuff where, he becomes an evangelist and he goes around telling the people that he's basically massacred in a local village, forgive me, please, like that kind of shit. But, you're going to actually get into a time in which you do that for yourself. So instead of indulging in this kind of mindless opportunism, which is the bulk and the majority of the dating scene, as I can see, you're going to instead, it's even advising you, focus on getting your vibration correct. Release the resentments from the past, get over the heartbreak, make amends with yourself, apologize to yourself, and forgive yourself for making any mistakes in the past. And additionally, take your time. When you say order in the force, that is you getting back to your natural state, which is going to restore order and balance to you. And by doing this, I think you'll be on the right path, and you can avoid some of the pitfalls of this, which is what we don't want our Arians to experience. We don't want you to be in a 9 of Cups in the reverse. We want you to be in the upright, which is where you finally step into emotional independence, and you don't need people in order to have a fulfilling and enriching life. So that is my rant for today. I thought I was going to say something else. I forgot what I was going to say earlier on, but we're going to leave it at that. Thank you so much. This has been Aluminum Tarot. It's been a pleasure reading for you today. And until next time, love and light.